Before I start this video, I want to introduce you to a sponsored, not sponsored situation. This is actually pretty cool. So there's a new game out on Steam. I don't think it's out yet. It's still in early access, called The Spy Who Shot Me. And you play Agent 7, who's part of MI69, which should basically tell you everything you need to know about why this game is fucking cool. You know how everyone's producing games with pixel graphics these days? Because pixel graphics are what people are nostalgic for? Well, pixel graphics are getting played out as a motherfucker. And this low poly aesthetic here, that's the thing that people are going to be nostalgic for. And The Spy Who Shot Me is getting in on that at the ground floor. So do go check it out if you're interested in this kind of thing. Because here's the best part about this. Yes, this is a sort of sponsorship, but it's not a sponsorship where they gave me money to do a sponsorship. They gave me money for voice acting, because I am in several roles in this game. But if you want to find out which roles these are, and believe me, they are not just minor cameos, do go check out the game. It's really fun, it's really cool, it's actually really funny too. Here's a racy piece of promotional artwork that should tell you all the remaining rest of what you need to know about what kind of game this is. It's not a porn game, obviously. It's a 007 parody game. It's a British spy doing British spy things as being cool. Jesus Christ, why do I have to tell you everything? There is a cancer growing on your computer. And it's actually not just one cancer, it's actually a huge amount of cancers. A lot of cancers. If you have a smartphone, which at this point should be most people, if even I converted and upgraded to the smartphone race years ago, right? If you go on your smartphone, like I will here with mine, let's just unlock this screen, and you will find, if you go into all the apps that you have, oh, well, you have Music Unlimited, Timescape, Talk, Track ID, Google Plus? What is that? I've never heard of that. Let's Start PS Store, Media Remote, Astro, Office Suite, Play Now, Sony Select, File Commander, Video Unlimited, Play Music, Smart Connect, Let's Start PSM, Play Memories Online, fucking Wise Pilot for Xperia, Xperia Link, Neo Reader, Update Center. Fuck, there's so much shit on this. You know what I use on this smartphone? I use WhatsApp, I use Threema, I use the fucking Adventure Smith dice rolling app, and sometimes I use Too Good To Go. Those are all the apps that I use. But you know why I have a million fucking apps on this phone anyway? It's because they just came with the phone, and you can't actually get rid of them. When you purchase a phone, mostly an Android phone, but this is also true for Apple phones, which I will get into later, everyone involved in the process of making that phone will try to put a full complement of everything software, where every single piece of software does every single thing imaginable on that phone, on the assumption that you're gonna use that software, while in reality you're just gonna go and download a better software from the Play Store. All this extra bullshit software takes up like half of the space just immediately when you come in, and every time it's updated poorly, because designers and programmers in those companies don't give a shit about the performance of your phone. As a matter of fact, the less well your phone performs, the better for them, because that means you will buy a new phone from them sooner. Now, a lot of the reason why your phone runs slowly after a while is the battery, right? Battery decay is a huge factor in why your phone becomes slower. But you can switch out for a new battery, and that, if you have problems with your phone that's going slowly, do try putting in a new battery. However, the other half of that whole fucking slowdown process is this bloatware. And this isn't just for smartphones. I have an HP laptop, right? If you have an HP laptop, you know what I am talking about. I bought this HP laptop a couple of years ago to use when I am outside of the house. This is not like a high-end gaming laptop. I don't really take it with me on vacation anymore either. I have maybe turned this thing on 100 times over the last 4 years. And 2 years ago, I wiped it completely and reinstalled the whole operating system from the recovery drive because I was on vacation and there was some shit that was going on and it broke down. I have maybe spun the thing up 30 times since then, right? And I had wiped everything. I had even formatted the hard drive. That's how thorough I was in putting everything back on the system. However, even though I maybe have turned it on 30 times since 2 years ago, it's super fucking slow. I'll tell you how slow this thing was, right? When it's booted up, which takes forever, I have to wait for like 5 minutes on the desktop before I can even do anything. And then I have to click on the thing that opens the file explorer. Then I take another minute for that to even open, for the window to even open. And this is after I have turned off all the bloatware that was already running, because of course the HP Taskbar Manager and HP Taskbar Manager Assistant and HP Task Manager Assistant Update Checker, all of those things of course start auto start. And if you remove them from auto start, they will reinsert them into auto start because you are not the boss of this computer. So all in all, to spin up a fucking DVD and VLC media player, that can take half an hour. For a laptop that just has the bare minimum of software on it. And that is because HP laptops are full of HP software. Every feature that Windows already provides, and every feature that you're gonna download separate software for, because let's be honest, the HP software is utter shit. Every one of those features they have in every single one of their software. And the reason developers do this is, for one, that if they didn't do it, they would just completely lose any and all hope of ever getting a market share in the specific software niche that this software markets toward, right? If you have a music playing and music managing software that is bloated onto your OS, be it on your phone, or be it on your laptop, or even your computer, which that also has started to begin in recent times, then the chance of you using that software is greater than zero. Zero being the chance of using that software if that software doesn't exist. So just to maybe they will at some point create a decent software for that, and because they can, they will now force you to have their shit software on that computer, because if they didn't, at the point at which they decide that they want to create a decent software, they will no longer be able to ever get a foot in the door. And also, and this is the much more important factor about this, they want your data. All of these software things, they just collect your data. That's what they're after. Data is the new goal. And the reason they force it on you is because they can, and they all do it. It's not like you could just buy from a different manufacturer. The only thing that means is that you would get different bloatware. And here's the best thing about bloatware. Bloatware is not only unnecessary software that just comes attached in packages, which, you know, the classic example of this is of the taskbars that software will sometimes try to install on your browser, or all of McAfee. Wait, wasn't that Norton? The really shit antivirus? I can't even keep track of them anymore. They will just continually deploy new updates that will install themselves without asking you. This is especially true for phones. On computers, that's a bit more difficult to manage because Windows has their thumb on that, so they can avoid other people introducing their bloatware to your system. And they don't care when they develop this software over whether or not it's elegant, whether or not it performs well. Because if you have to put in time on making it as efficient as possible in design and programming, that costs more money. And they don't want to spend money, they just want to bombard you with bloatware. And every single time with every new update, and also because they keep adding fucking features, the constant feature creep will make every piece of software much more hardware intensive than it needs to be, not only because it's inefficient, but because also you just don't need it. And the biggest problem with this is that it might, in the future, make our computers even slower than they are today. Everyone is probably at least somewhat familiar with Moore's Law, which dictates that processing power, the density of processors gets exponentially better, right? They get exponentially denser, you get exponentially more processing power per area of processor size. The problem is, eventually, and Gordon Moore himself, the inventor of Moore's Law, says that this point will probably be hit by around 2025, we will hit the limit of physics. And we won't be able to make them even smaller, and we won't be able to make them even more efficient. So at that point, processing power in your computer hardware will eventually just plateau. This is unless, of course, we just invent some entirely new technology, but that would mean that we would have to make every software new for a completely different new type of computer architecture and hardware. And that, Jesus Christ, that will take a couple years to take off. You can't just put a quantum computer motherboard in your PC and then expect it to run Crysis. And because we are seeing this massive constant increase in the amount and sheer inefficiency of bloatware, and also even if you uninstall the bloatware, the uninstallers will also be so programmed so poorly and so shoddily that they'll just leave half of the software on your system, and then the system will still be slowed down and you won't even know why. We might eventually reach a point where there is just so much bloatware then our computers are just really fucking slow once again, like it's the early 2000s, because manufacturers and programmers cannot, for the life of themselves, have proper data hygiene. Now, of course, this isn't something that is guaranteed to occur, and probably at some point consumers will catch on to this and they will complain about the whole situation. And you already see some manufacturers going, okay, we will put a little less bloatware in. Not Apple, by the way. Apple iTunes especially, is the flagship of bloatware, not even because it's installed and you don't need it, because obviously iTunes is a useful software for what it does, but because of the constant fucking feature creep. They just keep on adding new and new and new and new shit that it just doesn't really need. This can be solved by putting in customizable software where you program each component to just do what it does as well as you could possibly have it do what it does, and then allow the user seamlessly at best, but maybe with a little extra step of work, to just install extra features that they need, because obviously the needs will be different from user to user. So instead of just delivering a huge software package that has all the features, they can just put a thing there and says, oh, you want this feature? Well, just click on this, we'll install the new component for you, and that'll be that. And all the components that you don't need, all the features that you personally don't want, won't be in there. But that's a very consumer-friendly thing to do. And let's be honest, the tech industry is hardly consumer-friendly. So yeah, basically it's very likely that we'll have problems with feature creep and bloatware for a couple more years, but eventually there might come the point where we just get so fed up that manufacturers are forced to no longer introduce it. And at that point, maybe we will be able to use the full potential of our super nanoatomic microprocessors that we will have by the year 2025. Because if today's systems didn't have so much bloatware on them, they would run faster too. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for trying to be informed on bloatware. Subscribe, like the channel, do the commentario, like I already told you to do. Support me on Patreon or Maker Support, though support me on Patreon over Maker Support because Maker Support is still dysfunctional. I'll probably have to chat up the bloke who runs it, so maybe he can, well, then again, a lot of people have tried and he doesn't seem to be very responsive. I wish you all a very fantastic day. I am incredibly sorry that I forgot to put the patrons in this very slide in my last video. That is 100% my fault, and I have already committed seppuku for it. I'm not going to show you the scar because it's pretty disgusting. Let's just say I survived. In that spirit, have a fantastic day, and see you around, cunts.